Picture this. It's a dark, stormy Halloween night on the grim, rain-soaked streets of Gotham City. Right in the middle of all the holiday chaos, a masked vigilante is just watching from the shadows. He actually describes himself as a nocturnal animal, forced to choose his targets carefully, as he watches the criminal element just waiting to strike.
And his whole methodology, it's built on this really chilling premise. He says, fear is a tool. When that light hits the sky, it's not just a call, it's a warning. So Batman has established this incredibly brooding presence, basically using fear to control Gotham's superstitious criminal underworld. But this really tense status quo gets completely shattered when a brutal, high-profile murder of the incumbent mayor, Don Mitchell Jr., sets this terrifying mystery into motion.
Because the mayor's brutal death on Halloween? That is literally just the beginning. Only days later, Police Commissioner Pete Savage is murdered. And then, right in the middle of the mayor's televised memorial, District Attorney Gil Colson is targeted. A masked serial killer who calls himself the Riddler has suddenly started executing Gotham's corrupt elite in rapid, shocking succession.
So let's go back to that very first crime scene at the mayor's home. Batman and Lieutenant James Gordon discover a mysterious greeting card left there, and it's addressed specifically to the Batman. Inside this card, there's a cipher and a super cryptic question. What does a liar do when he's dead?
Solving this riddle is absolutely crucial. It's the very first step. And the answer? He lies still. Using this partial key, Batman and his trusted butler Alfred manage to decode the cipher, which points them straight toward the mayor's car. And what do they find? A hidden USB thumb drive filled with photos of the mayor and some mystery woman. This completely yanks the investigation deep into the murky depths of Gotham's criminal underworld.
That digital trail from the thumb drive leads directly to the Iceberg Lounge. Now on the surface, it's just a public club. But underneath, it serves as a front for a totally secret mob hangout known as 44 Below. This hidden room is run by the Penguin, who is a lieutenant for the massive mafia boss Carmine Falcone. And it's exactly here that Batman crosses paths with Selina Kyle. She's a waitress desperately looking for her missing roommate, who happens to be the exact same woman from the mayor's photographs.
Things get even crazier after the Riddler murders the police commissioner with rat poison. He leaves behind another complex cipher, and this one asks a really pointed question. Are you El Rata Alada? Batman and Gordon put their heads together and deduce that this points to a confidential informant, someone who helped the police pull off the biggest drug bust in city history, which took down Falcone's main rival, Salvatore Maroni.
So El Rata Alada literally translates to a rat with wings, slang for a pigeon, or in this context, specifically a stool pigeon, or an informant. The frantic search to figure out the true identity of this rat escalates big time when the Riddler literally crashes the mayor's televised funeral by strapping a collar bomb to the neck of District Attorney Gil Colson.
It's horrifying. The Riddler actually live streams this twisted game to his online followers. He forces the DA to complete 3 steps if he wants to survive. He has to answer 3 riddles, he has to confess to taking $10,000 a month in bribes to protect mobsters, and finally, for the big one, he must maim the informant that this entire corrupt system is protecting.
But the DA absolutely refuses to name the informant. He screams, "I'm a dead man either way. It's so much bigger than you could ever imagine. It's the whole system." He is so terrified for his family's safety that Colson makes the ultimate choice. He lets the bomb detonate rather than expose a sprawling conspiracy that touches literally every single level of Gotham's leadership.
Immediately following the DA's explosive death, the Riddler's violent focus suddenly shifts gears. He drops a brand new riddle. I grew up from a seed, tough as a weed, but in a mansion, in a slum. I'll never know where I come from. Do you know what I am? This terrifying shift leads straight to a mail bomb addressed directly to Bruce Wayne, but tragically, it goes off and severely injures Alfred instead.
The answer to that riddle? An orphan. The Riddler targets Bruce specifically because of his family's legacy. He broadcasts a video exposing this really dark, decades-old secret. Turns out, 20 years ago, Bruce's father, Thomas Wayne, actually asked mobster Carmine Falcone to put the fear of God into a crusading reporter. This reporter was threatening to reveal some really painful mental health secrets about Bruce's mother right in the middle of Thomas's mayoral campaign.
Bruce is absolutely shattered. He confronts Falcone and is told his father actually had the reporter murdered. But later, when Bruce confronts a recovering Alfred at the hospital, he gets the nuanced truth. Alfred tells him, "You'd be surprised what even a good man like him is capable of in the right situation." Thomas made a tragic mistake out of desperation to protect his family. He never intended for Falcone to kill the man. Distraught, Thomas was actually planning to confess everything to the police, and it was that very decision that ultimately led to him and his wife being murdered that exact same night.
As Batman and Gordon dig even deeper into all this, the full, horrifying scope of the conspiracy finally comes to light. The Gotham Renewal Fund, which was set up by Thomas Wayne as a billion-dollar charitable endowment for public works, was totally hijacked after his death. Falcone, the mayor, and the DA were using it as a massive slush fund for bribes and money laundering. As it turns out, this fund was the real hidden prize behind that famous Maroni drug bust.
And suddenly, it all clicks into place. The rat is Carmine Falcone himself. Falcone orchestrated the entire drug bust. He gave up his rival, Maroni, just to seize total control over the city's government and that billion-dollar renewal fund. He wasn't just working with the city's elite, he literally owned them outright.
Now, this massive revelation sparks a huge ideological clash. On one hand, you have Batman, who is seeking to bring the corrupt to justice legally. On the other hand, you have Selina Kyle, who is out for lethal vengeance. She just found out that Falcone is actually her estranged father, and he's the one who personally strangled her friend to protect his dirty secrets. Selina goes in to assassinate Falcone, but Batman swoops in and intervenes, stopping her from crossing that fatal line and throwing her own life away.
So Batman and Gordon finally manage to arrest Falcone. As they're dragging him out of his club, about to take him down to Blackgate, Falcone just mocks them. He smirks and says, "Whatever I know, whatever I've done, it's all going with me to my grave." And then, literally seconds later, as he steps out into the streetlight, bam, a sniper's bullet strikes the mob boss dead right there in the street. The Riddler strikes again.
The police instantly trace the gunshot to an overlooking apartment. Inside, it's a madhouse. Thousands of crazy ledgers, and the actual murder weapon used on the mayor. Following a tip, they move in and finally apprehend the Riddler. And where is he? Just sitting calmly at a nearby diner. It turns out he's an orphan forensic accountant named Edward Noshton.
What follows is this incredibly tense interrogation in Arkham Asylum, where Noshton makes a really chilling confession. He looks at Batman and says, "All everyone wants to do is unmask you, but they're missing the point. My mask allowed me to be myself completely." Noshton reveals that he completely idolizes Batman. He genuinely believed they were a team, working together this whole time to expose the corrupt officials who abandoned orphans like him in freezing, rat-infested slums.
Obviously, Batman vehemently rejects Noshton's twisted idea of a partnership, calling him exactly what he is, a pathetic, sick psychopath. But Noshton's desperate, manic reaction to this rejection makes Batman realize something with absolute dread. The Riddler's master plan, it is far from finished. Noshton poses one final, haunting riddle. What's black and blue and dead all over? You.
Racing against time, Batman digs into Noshton's final, password-protected online post, and the terrifying endgame is finally revealed. Noshton has positioned 7 explosive-rigged vans all along the city's seawalls. His ultimate goal wasn't just to unmask the corruption. No, he wanted to physically wash the entire city away on election night, exacting his twisted retribution on a massive, catastrophic scale.
The catastrophe unfolds so rapidly. The bombs detonate, completely obliterating the seawalls. Violent floodwaters rush in, forcing a massive citywide evacuation. Thousands of citizens, including the new mayor-elect, get trapped inside Gotham Square Garden, which was supposed to be a safe shelter of last resort. But that was a trap, too. The Riddler's heavily armed online followers are already waiting up in the rafters, ready to massacre the survivors.
Batman and Selina literally drop through the glass roof into the flooded garden, fighting off these zealots to save the trapped civilians. It's a brutal fight, but in the chaos, Batman experiences a moment of sheer horror. One of the captured gunmen, beaten and subdued, looks right up at him and repeats Batman's own personal catchphrase, "I'm vengeance."
It hits him like a ton of bricks. Realizing that spending 2 years striking fear as a symbol of vengeance has only inspired more extreme violence, Batman knows he has to change course. He steps down into the freezing, electrified water. He lights a brilliant red flare and physically guides the traumatized, trapped citizens through the flooded ruins, leading them towards safety. In the end, Batman recognizes he has to evolve. As he puts it, vengeance won't change the past. People need hope, to know someone's out there for them. To save a scarred but surviving city, he realizes he can't just be the shadows anymore. He must become a beacon of hope. And it leaves us with this incredible, provocative question. In a world built on such deep-rooted corruption and trauma, is hope truly enough to finally break the cycle of violence?